Все сделал, да, привет. Так, где игра? Вот игра. Новая игра. Да, привет. Ой. Что за игра? Ну, как это? Little Orpheus в названии есть. Инди-платформер.
Despite failing your basic physical and being caught cheating on your entrance exams, on the morning of the 12th of April 1962, you boarded a rocket drill containing the experimental device Little Orpheus, with the purpose of descending through the Earth's crust to discover the relative hollowness of the interior and its suitability for colonization.
No, you've lost me, General. Did I do what?
You and Little Orpheus were
Что
dropped
никого не
into
видит.
an extinct volcano to
Что не видит
drill
свободных
to the
мест.
center of the Earth and find out if we could establish a city there.
Ну или так.
Note, if you will, that this date is over 3 years ago.
Сейчас игра, кстати, не слишком тихо. Блять. Ну спасибо, оно же... Просто если альт-табысь на OBS посмотреть, как громкость игры, звук прекращает идти. Заебись.
Ivan Ivanovich, can you describe Little Orpheus to me?
Of course. It was large and round and had something of a disagreeable smell.
I was referring to its technical specification.
Well, General, I am no man of science, but it had this radio thing that I was supposed to use to let the surface know I had arrived. And some sort of battery wrapped in this lead box.
То есть...
But I was told to not touch anything under any circumstances.
То есть они
And I did
послали в
notice
этот...
the engineers who worked on it were
важную
quite
экспедицию в
shifty
центр
bunch.
Земли чувака, который даже не это... Ничего, ни в чем особо не разбирается научно. Отличный план, что могло пойти
The
не
little
так.
Orpheus device contained a radio transmitter capable of sending a signal through miles of solid rock. In order to boost this, a powerful energy source was required. An atomic bomb, comrade Prevalov. An atomic bomb that you have lost somewhere below the Earth's crust.
Ah, yes, that bomb. Of course, General. I can explain everything. But it is a long and somewhat complicated story. And let me assure you, this is not a case of milking chickens. But you won't understand where your bomb and little Orpheus has ended up unless I start at the very beginning and you let me tell you where I've been for the last 3 years.
То есть наш главный герой потерял атомную бомбу в недрах Земли. Но я так понимаю, он что-то важное там сделал. Потерять целую ядерную бомбу. Или атомную.
Better be good.
Good, General. It's more than good. It's extraordinary. And it began like this.
Ну, точно, это же игра чей с Рум. Первые товарищи к центру.
An extraordinary sight. I realized this must be the fabled land of Plutonia, as documented by the brilliant scholar Obruchev. A trail of destruction carved by the rocket drill led down into the wild and mysterious jungle. The rocket drill itself must have snapped in half somewhere below Kamchatka, and little Orpheus bounced out and became lost in that prehistoric forest. If I was ever to get home, my mission was clear: to find little Orpheus.
Окей. Значит, ищем этого маленького Орфея.
I
Вообще,
steeled myself
странно,
and
что это.
plunged deeper into that prehistoric jungle, where insects the size of
Совет-коммунисты,
dogs buzzed around.
как называется?
What sort of dogs?
I beg your pardon, General?
Large dogs or small dogs? Big like an ovcharka or small like a barlonka?
Does it really matter?
Of course. Detail is all important.
Овчарка then, General. The size of an овчарка.
I find that very hard to believe.
Would you find it easier if they were the size of a balanka?
No. But I am enjoying your attempts to persuade me.
Так вот, странно, что в честь греческого героя назвали свою экспедицию советские коммунисты. Так, сюда. Алло, игра, что подтормаживаю? Ладно. А так будем подтормаживать? Все равно немного будет. будем. Сейчас, я знаю. В прошлый раз это помогло, возможно, поможет и в этот. Закрываем все лишнее.
Another part of the rocket drill. But still no sign of little Orpheus.
Как вообще интересно выглядит этот маленький Орфей. Ой. Видимо, это он был. У нас тут есть куда я. Оп. Ой. Здравствуйте, большой динозавр.
In the trees, I could see huge beasts, larger and more ancient than any known to our modern times. Could it be that Obrochev was right? And deep below the Earth's surface, prehistoric monsters still roam freely.
Yes, but little Orpheus.
Фух, напрыгнул. Блин, я забыл, как эти динозавры называются правильно. Ой. Что-то слишком большой тираннозавр. Он должен быть настолько большим.
That terrible lizard intent on making a snack of me was none other than the most awful of the monsters, the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, now you are an expert on dinosaurs.
Oh, hardly an expert, General. Just educated by the best schools in the world, like all good socialists. And I remembered one crucial thing.
I'm listening.
Well, its greed is without bottom, its hunger is ferocious, but its brain is absolutely tiny. So, it can roar and roar as much as it likes, but it will never be a match for the sharpened mind of the good Soviet worker. All I needed was a plan to outwit the monster.
Что там такое? Тоже часть ракеты, что ли?
Imagine my shock and surprise to find in that clearing the last part of the rocket drill. More shocking was the fact it had been ransacked. Someone had made off with the tools, the weapons, the rations, and the spare parts for the Pragviev. I began to suspect foul play. Perhaps little Orpheus was not lost at all, but stolen. All I could do was follow the trail further into Plutonia.
Ну, может, это динозавры поглотали? По идее, если ядерную бомбу не взорвать нужным образом, то динозавр вполне может ее проглотить. И будет она у него там перевариваться в желудке и отравит его. Кстати, а что насчет того, что Терекс, по идее, не видит движения? Я, конечно, знаю, что это, скорее всего, неправда, но тем не менее. А, вот этим.
So we all agree this was the fabled land of Plutonia, do we? I don't remember accepting that.
I will admit it might not have been Plutonia if you are prepared to accept the dinosaur.
This isn't a negotiation, Ivan Ivanovich.
General, you can disagree all you like, but there's very little you can do to persuade me it wasn't a dinosaur.
I might not be able to persuade you, but I can always have you shot.
Так. Понял. Хороших ныкать, Иван Иванович. Тут же он уже не дотянется. По-моему, он идет за нами, да? Или нет? Блять. Я буду звать тебя не Иван Иванович, я буду звать тебя Семен Семенович. Потому что, ну, Семен Семенович. Окей. Такая чисто комедийная динамика. Чё? Тебе наскучило яйцо? Почему? Странно, почему не было звуков вообще этого падения?
You hid in an egg.
Yes, General. I hid in an egg.
I am glad to hear your military training was not wasted. If only I had a single legion of men as brave and ingenious as you, with only 100 men equipped with eggs to hide in, we could roll across Europe in a day.
General, are you mocking me?
You are as sharp as you are brave, Tavarish.
Так. Кажется, динозаврик еще не ушел. Мне вот интересно, а тут, по идее, что получается в каждом эпизоде от это? От новой ебаки сбегать или что-то типа того? Я не могу, что ли, допрыгнуть? Еще нет ничего. А, значит, надо просто с этой стороны было. Да? Почему? Семен Семенович. Так, забраться я сюда не могу ниоткуда. Видимо, мне что-то надо будет, ага. Игра, да можно не напоминать мне. Я уже научился управлению. Ай. Вандализм.
I couldn't believe it. I still struggle to believe it. A whole lost city, buried in that jungle deep below the crust of the earth. Who would have thought it was possible?
Who indeed? It is, of course, a shame you didn't think to record the moment for posterity and help us all to get over our disbelief.
But I did, General, I did. My training was excellent, and I immediately took out my комсомольец and began to document all I could.
А где же тогда фотки? Так. А, понял. Да ёп.
Where is this camera now, then?
Ah, General, yes. What, of course, I meant to say was my training was excellent, and I immediately reached for my camera,
Камеры там нет.
only to realize it must have been torn from my utility belt in the crash and lost forever in that forgotten jungle.
Так,
Horrendous beast had returned and was hungrier than ever.
Perhaps it was angry it had been fooled by an egg-wearing idiot.
That is unkind, General. It may have been small of brain, but it was grand of stature.
Whereas you, Ivan Ivanovich, are lacking in both departments. Presuming there were no more eggs to hide in, did you have a new plan?
I did, General.
Please,
бежать.
do tell me, what was this brilliant plan?
I ran like hell, General.
Ну да. Ожидаемо. Хороший динозаврик, хороший. Блин, тиранозаврик, тебе что, закусить что ли больше неким? В этих
Will
джунглях.
our intrepid yet doomed hero survive the jaws of the ferocious dinosaur? Will he meet his end miles underground as an aperitif for a ravenous raptor? What dark secrets could be buried in the lost city of Agatha? Will the general ever discover the location of his lost bomb? All of these questions and more will be answered in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus!
А, то есть оно вот так. Теперь доступен режим утерянной записи. Вернитесь в сферах, разбросанных по всему миру, позволяющих... А, ну понятно. То есть какие-то доп-контенты. Блин, звук опять
What luck!
рассинхрон.
What a miracle! One moment I was rushing into the fetid tonsils of that horrible monster. The next, I was plummeting downwards to the jungle floor beyond its reach. I prayed I would land on something soft,
Perhaps your head.
but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold. An epic saga of pride, power, and revolution. A struggle for freedom, the likes of which our world has never seen. And it happened like this.
Ну, вообще, по идее, он должен был умереть от такого падения и приземления на дерево. Ой. Синие человечки. Ой, и большие синие
What those
человечки.
strange, gentle monsters who towered above me. I could only guess they were the lost tribe of the Menf, an earlier race of people. But why were they so fearful of those ancient gates that lay just beyond their village? And why did they seem to recognize me? Why?
Чё, у них есть пророчество об оранжевом человечке, который придет и освободит их?
Yes, I'm also wondering why.
Ну а как же, генерал? Who was I to question such things? Trapped as I was deep underground. I was more curious, I must admit, about the location of little Orpheus.
Ой. Окей, они не хотят меня
Talk of a
сожрать.
great city, a mighty power. Yet your nymph squatted like savages in huts at its boundary.
They did. And the answer to that mystery lay beyond my grasp at that point. Because it was a wonder, it truly was.
Мгм. Мгм. Так, надо катить. Я так понимаю, ворота они сами могут открыть. Чего же они тогда боятся этой двери?
The lost city of Agartha. I hope I may one day see it myself.
Oh, General, if only you could. Unfortunately, as I shall explain, should you seek Agartha now, you wouldn't find it. It has been utterly destroyed.
Что тобой уничтожено. Иван Иванович. Кстати, а нет, только стиком.
Utterly destroyed?
Utterly, General, a tragic loss.
A convenient loss.
I imagine archaeologists weeping as I tell you. But most importantly, before we continue, you must understand one crucial fact about its destruction.
Which is?
It wasn't my fault.
Тогда интересно, как будет уничтожено, если не твоя вина. Почему-то мне кажется, что Иван Иванович просто нажмет какую-нибудь эту, и все разрушится. Да, он держит в заточении. Кто же их поработил? А что, начинается какой-то Another World, что ли? Ой. Это что, контролирующий разумы шлема?
Those poor, unfortunate Menkf, trapped and kidnapped and dragged away, only to return as vicious foot soldiers to some unknown tyrant. And yet, there was something familiar about the shtukovina they were forced to wear on their heads,
Ну,
which I was
это...
sure were being used to control and enslave them.
And what was that?
General, it curiously resembled the radio sets I used to tinker with as a child.
Radio sets.
It was very curious.
It was very curious.
It was extremely curious.
Ну, я бы не сказал, что радиоприемники. Я бы скорее сказал, что напоминает эти шлемы подводников. подводники. А, ну да, вон вижу у них наверху эту. Как ее? Антенну.
An ancient technological metropolis, powered by a glowing resin, carved from the very earth?
A glowing resin carved from the very earth. Do you see, General?
I fear you are about to enlighten me.
А, это вот эта смола имеется в виду, которую мы ворота открывали.
Little Orpheus must have been drained by the impact, but whoever had stolen it and brought it here was no doubt planning to use the Agarthan resin to charge up the atomic bomb, restoring the device to its full potential. What sort of man would come up with such a monstrously reckless scheme?
Perhaps the type of man who has such limited understanding of atomic energy that he thinks an ancient metropolis can be powered by shiny marbles.
Генерал, чего вы во мне сомневаетесь? Так, как мне до тут допрыгнуть? Прыжок веры? Прыжок веры? Нет. Эту штуку я потрогать больше не могу. А. Только непонятно, имеет ли смысл двигаться, пока он следит, но думаю, не стоит. Или мне не сюда? Нет, походу, все же сюда. Блин, а можно как-то убрать эту виньетку или что это? Видимо... А, вот хроническая операция, это, наверное. Да. А, что? А, это и есть маленький Орфей, да? Ой. Не добежал. Так и задумано, окей.
I am curious, Ivan Ivanovich. You talk and talk about this great subterranean city. Yet what you describe sounds strangely familiar. It does in some way bear an uncanny resemblance to the glorious architecture of Comrade Alexei Dushkin. Wouldn't you agree?
Да нет, генерал. I have never heard of this great товарищ Dushkin or his works.
Interesting. Because you were photographed on the steps of his marvelous Vysotka na Krasnych Varotach, shaking hands
Krasnych
with the
Varotach.
Glavny Constructor.
That was the chief designer? The sweaty little fat man with the bad hearing?
Mind your mouth, Ivan Ivanovich. And don't think you can distract me by slandering one of the great visionaries of our time. Without him, neither of
Но я бы,
us
кстати, не
would
сказал,
sit
что
here
похожа
now.
архитектура.
Remember to thank him for that, General.
Ну, типа... А, ну он статуя, конечно, еще тянет на брутализм. Но, типа... Нет. В целом это на брутализм не очень прям тянет. Если намек на это.
Those enslaved mink were trying to stop me. I was sure of that now.
I find myself sympathizing with them, I must admit.
No, General, then I have failed to win you over.
Uh-huh. A point of agreement at last.
Так, не очень понимаю. Ну, типа, тут явно надо что-то на скорость сделать. Где шар спотыкается? Вот он падает. А, все, вижу. Да нажимай. Надо браться за автобусом, видимо, да, пока он едет. Блэк.
I must ask again, General. Are you mocking me?
That would be unprofessional, comrade.
I will try harder to convince you then. It is, after all, a cautionary tale of unleashed tyranny.
It is a cautionary tale of unleashed idiocy. But please, do continue.
Как там не настоящий советский генерал, настоящий бы уже приказал расстрелять за эти сказки. А этот, видимо, будет слушать до конца. Опять убегать под веселую музычку. А чё ты ржешь там? Он как будто знает, что мы тут, и поэтому ржет. Но типа, чтобы нас поймать, ему достаточно просто это. Повернуть бошку.
I stepped from the cable car onto a plateau at the center of the city, where a palace, a vast acropolis, stood. I was reminded of Chelyabinsk Sorok.
May I ask how you know of Chelyabinsk Sorok?
My Aunt Masha was a traveling tinker who married a beef investigator from Zlatoust. She told me of a secret but wonderful city in the west.
Теперь еще и тетку твою расстреляют.
Serving the will and needs of the people.
Yes, unfortunately, that story didn't end so well.
No, that's what Auntie Marsha told me. And perhaps that is why I was also reminded of it. Because the moment I touched the floor in that place, I could tell something was very, very wrong.
Так, что я сделал? А.
The ground had begun to shake alarmingly, and the whole city felt as if it was shuddering. I could only imagine what I would find in the heart of the vast temple.
If it isn't a giant glowing marble, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Ну, судя по свету, там гигантский светящийся шар. Интересно, кстати, тут будут схватки с боссами?
A huge resin sphere that overshadowed all of the others. I caught glimpses through the twisted architecture. And it was then I saw him, the thief, the enslaver, the tyrant, sucking the power from this wondrous city as he drained the very lifeblood of the ancient civilization and drew it into the atomic embrace of little Orpheus. With a song in my heart, I raced onwards to stop him.
Или это как раз... Ну... А. Или это как раз типа босс-файта. Ну такое. Остановил, блин. Так, окей, нам нужен камень. Ага, ну тут эти следящие говнюки. Ну подождем. Привет, Маша. У нас тут путешествие с совет-космонавта к центру Земли. Ты же меня не видишь, да? Окей, супер. Нет, тут имеется в виду, что, короче, это 62-й год. Вот, и пока американцы осваивают космос, советские ученые послали космонавта в центр Земли. Вместе там со специальным прибором, который называется как раз маленький Орфей. И который питается этой ядерной бомбой. Вот. И как бы пропала связь с этим космонавтом, а сейчас он 3 года спустя объявился и сидит на допросе и рассказывает комрад-дженералу, что произошло. А тот, естественно, ему не верит. Так, отлично, я это опустил. Что мне с этим делать? Они все отвлеклись. А, вон уже. Что пойти в подземный мир, да. А, кстати, да. Я просто думал, почему это советские ученые назвали миссию в честь этого греческого персонажа. Но теперь, да, я что-то забыл, в чем прикол Орфея.
Drained of its power, the magical heart of the city cracked. It sent shockwaves through the world around me. A true monster general, willing to bring down the mountain itself upon Agartha and bury it forever in his ruthless scheme.
Ну, вот это как раз вот
I could not say
птеродактиль маленького Орфея.
and regret.
У нас это...
Resolved myself to avenge the men, to recapture little Orpheus, and to bring that tyrant to justice.
Что, опять надо убегать на этот раз из разрушающегося города? Короче, мы уже успели поубегать от тираннозавра. Почему я говорю мы? Потому что we are in Soviet Russia.
Will our plucky yet careless hero fall forever through those unknown skies? Will he discover the identity of the brutal thief commanding the army of the Menk? What chance does he have of ever returning to his beloved homeland? How long can the general's patience last?
Вот да, надолго ли хватит терпения генерала, это самый главный вопрос.
Will definitely be answered in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus.
Так, я пока пойду... Да-да-да, это я понял. Я пока пойду перекурю. Как раз 2 эпизода прошли, в игре всего 10. Скоро вернусь. Так. Храбрый Иван отправляется дальше.
I plummeted down through that weird sky towards a great turbulent ocean that roared and swelled. A ferocious sea that offered no hope of survival. I thought of home and wept, unaware that in an instant my fortunes would be changed by an event so bizarre I almost hesitate to tell you. And it happened like this.
Окей. Товарища Ивана сожрал кит.
A giant whale?
It was huge, General.
You were swallowed by a giant whale.
Yes, General.
You look remarkably well for a man who was swallowed by a whale.
I am blessed with a strong constitution, General.
Где он плод нашел? Во внутренностях гигантского кита.
And I assume you are now going to tell me how you managed to escape from the belly of this giant whale.
Naturally, General. And I must say, it really was a fascinating glimpse into the interior life of one of our world's most magnificent beasts. I consider myself a wiser man after this experience.
Корабль.
It is a shame, General. People can be so closed-minded.
I, on the other hand, have little choice but to hear you out. For your own sake, Ivan Ivanovich, I must urge you to be brief.
Absolutely, General. I will tell you directly of my miraculous escape from the belly of the whale. You simply won't believe what happened next.
That is becoming a dangerously overused phrase, comrade.
Не допрыгнул, понятно. В какой момент тогда надо прыгать? Может, когда оно это начинает вниз идти?
And so I found myself deep within the whale's organs. A strangely beautiful place. A sort of fleshy wonderland. A glade of polyps and globules. A landscape as awe-inspiring in its way as the forests and mountains of
Кто
Altai.
тут эти лодки так удобно разбросал?
My home, General, that I yearned and longed for, and only hoped, as I hope now, that I might one day see again.
I think we're all longing for home at this point.
Oh, with warm slippers, a mug of steaming Sbitzin, and a roaring fire. Not far from home, trapped inside a monstrous fish with only the strange and evil-looking worms that infested its gut for company. With only one's dedication to one's country and mission to keep one from falling into despair. But no, General, I could not. I had to escape, to find little Orpheus and my way back to the surface and home.
Блин, музыка прям очень красивая. Я вот не помню, у Chinese Room есть свой композитор? Или они нанимают разных? Нет. Кажется, червяки хотят меня съесть. Или нет?
Worms, you say? living inside the whale.
Oh, they were horrid things, those worms, General. And most unwelcome, I would say. Parasites. I had no idea just how big the infestation was. More of the tremendous sizes they could grow to. At that point, my thoughts were only of escape. And I had a plan.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
Почему-то мне кажется, что плана не было. О, Господи. Бедный кит. Товарищ Иван Иванович, может, поможем бедному созданию? Что меня тут сохранил? А. Ну, хотя бы чуть-чуть помогаем. Может, надо спровоцировать у Китая изжогу, чтобы он выплюнул всех этих паразитов? Ну, не изжогу, а это. Не знаю, как лучше обозвать.
These worms, they made your Nivirayatni whale sick.
Wherever they attached themselves, the flesh began to turn gray and die. It was a truly distressing state. I resolved myself to assist the whale by removing the leeches wherever I could find them during my escape.
Ну, то есть всех мы не это, но каких-то мы личинок уберем. Окей. Хотя бы так. Да прыгай уже. Я еще смеюсь, что сразу видно, игру сделали не русский, потому что я бы назвал персонажа не Иван Иванович, а Семен Семенович. Типа Семен Семенович.
I would climb up through the whale's throat into its mouth, then wait until it opened it to feed and swim out.
Ah, yes. Brilliant, Ivan Ivanovich. Only one or two minor flaws with it. For example, did it not occur to you that the whale will likely be deep underwater when it ate?
Вы правы, General, but I am a strong swimmer. As a child, my parents would take us to holiday near Irkutsk, where we took constitutionals in the waters of Lake Baikal. In fact, my mother often called me her маленький морской котик.
Какая страна сделала игру? А я не помню, чьи они с Рум, они... По-моему, они англичане. Большая пиявка. Как будет возможность, посмотрю.
A giant worm for a giant whale, huh?
At the risk of repeating myself, it was huge, General.
The Moscow University Zoological Society may be interested after all.
Да, британцы. Кстати, давно они что-то ничего не выпускали. Я так смотрю. Просто забавно, я как это, до прошлой рулетки даже не знал, кто сделал игру. А потом оказалось, что в списке 2 игры от одной студии. Потому что Амнезия тоже из списка 2.
You would now have me believe you had embarked on some misguided crusade to free it of the worm infestation. To what end, exactly?
When one suffers, we all suffer, General.
Ну вот, ты привлек его внимание. Дальше-то что, Иван Иванович?
Your ideological commitment is admirable, comrade, but...
I concluded that if I could find the root of the infestation and neutralize it, the whale could mount a spirited counterattack against the worms.
Чем-то Hollow Knight напоминает. Да. Этот зараженный перекресток.
And then, victorious, the whale would surface to expel the remaining poisonous muck and slime from its body. And at that point, I could escape through the nearest convenient orifice. In this case, most likely the blowhole.
That is the most revolting thing I've ever heard.
General, we are Russians. We have withstood the sheer force of nature and history and emerged triumphant. An expedition through the nasal sphincter of a gargantuan whale is nothing to us.
Ну вот да. Сразу видно как не русские делали в том плане, что советский человек не сказал бы «We are Russians». Он бы сказал «We are Soviets».
I suppose you would have me believe that the whale was grateful to you.
Oh, well, General, that would be presumptuous. I doubt it was even aware of my presence. But I had more immediate problems. For if the whale might have been relieved by my actions, the worms were enraged.
Worms
furious.
Worms
Incandescent.
do not feel
Violently indignant.
emotions.
Demented, General. Deranged.
Enough!
Кажется, генералы уже начинают доставать. Вся эта история. Так, теперь убегаем от червяка, да?
Where is little Orpheus? Where is my bomb? Unless you are trying to dull me, the whale should that as well.
No, it is not, General. That would be absurd.
No,
Да, я помню, так скользить, я просто
where
что-то
is little Orpheus?
с таймингом не
Where
разобрался.
is my bomb? Unless you are trying to dull me, the whale should that as well.
No, it did not, General. That would be absurd.
No, Ivan Ivanovich, you are absurd.
Your story is absurd. This whole ridiculous fairy tale is absurd.
Что же убедит генерала слушать нас дальше? Какая удачно припаркованная лодочка. Психонавтов чем-то похоже. Ну, стилистически, да. Конец главы.
Will he be doomed to spend his days trapped in the innards of a bad-tempered cetacean? Where is the whale swimming to in such a rush? And what will it do when it gets there? Is the general about to lose his temper and order the cosmonaut shot? All of these questions and more must surely be
Блин, я, кстати, не
answered
помню.
in the next
Ну первый
exciting
психонавт у меня,
episode
по-моему,
of
добавлен
Little
в эти, в
Orpheus.
классические игры. Сражение за землю Санникова. Ну, что такое земля Санникова, я знаю. Я даже советский фильм помню. Мне очень нравился.
Flew from the whale's blowhole like a supersonic jet. And below me, the ocean became a sheltered bay studded with wild shapes.
Червь
You
тоже
will be
улетел.
amazed as my epic journey unfolds. For here, it was about to take a most unexpected turn. And it happened like this.
По-моему, генерал он в начале каждой главы говорит, что, мол, все стало страньше и страньше. Поражаюсь выдержке генерала. Но до конца кита мы так и не спасли.
It was a beautiful but deadly wasteland. Freezing cold, brutally chilly. Enough to kill a man in hours.
Yet here you are.
Indeed, General. An impoverished childhood playing in the streets of Omsk during those bitter winters have made me hardly...
I thought you said you grew up in Altai.
Ah, General, the life of a poor toy maker's family. We had to move from place to place just to find work.
Все еще непонятно, почему Иван Ивановича выбрали для этой ответственной миссии, учитывая, что он не ученый, подготовку особую не проходил. Тут тоже вопросы к командованию. Здорово. Что мне делать тут? Взял тюленика, утопил. Так, а мне эта штука еще нужна? Или нет? Видимо, нет. Ну да, так достану. Бля, тут уже тюлень побольше. Ну нет. Бедные тюленики. А, то есть мне надо возвращаться все же назад тем же путем. В тюленю. Мы запомним его коммунистом. Я же Я нажал. Что тут за Elden Ring начался? С тем, что игра это не воспринимать, что я что-то нажал. Тюленики качели устроили. Ну, понятно, что сейчас все развалится будет. Уже по веселой музычке можно было понять. Вот. Что, тоже кто-то живет.
Sonikov land, eh? Of course, Sonikov himself reported nothing more than a bluish fog on the horizon. Your island may be nothing more than the product of overactive imaginations.
General, consider this. Imagine taking a simple peasant, a pig shepherd, for example, and telling him one day humans would fly around the earth beyond the sky. He would say you were stark raving mad, Saldaphone, a ridiculous козёл бородатый, a buffoon stuffed into a military uniform, a придурок, a чучело тупорылое.
This peasant of yours had better watch his mouth if he doesn't want to spend his holidays in Solovetsky. Perhaps you should return to your story.
Так, мне кажется, не допрыгнул. Я думал, можно...
There in the cliff. I could not believe it.
Чё,
A
мама?
hairy elephant, trapped and frozen in the ice.
Почему и мама тут вот
No,
огромная?
General, a hairy elephant. Who would think such a thing could be?
Кто тут это все построил-то? Я думал, все игровое сообщество уже решило, что QTE это устаревший формат.
I trudged onwards through the blizzard, one foot grimly in front of the other, blinded by the snow, my nose becoming quite blue. My thoughts of home crushed under the weight of the plummeting temperature.
I am bored, Ivan Ivanovich, and sick to my teeth of listening to this rubbish. Let us speak plainly now. You will tell me where my bomb is, or I will have you shot.
I am just getting to that, General.
Shot! Comrade Primal! Shot with real bullets, fired from a real gun, not some ludicrous Bultavia about lost cities and dinosaurs and mink and mammoth.
It was a hairy elf.
No! I will not tolerate any more! Where is the bomb, Ivan Ivanovich? Where is little Orpheus?
It was right there.
What?
It was there. At least I realized it must be.
Where?
There?
On Sonic Land?
Yes, General. Because as the storm began to clear, I realized with a strange excitement and trepidation that I was not alone on Sonic Land.
Тут же это свечение было.
Wait. Go back. You say these lifeboats came from Zarya? A Russian ship?
Zarya returned home, but not with all of her crew. And here were the missing lifeboats, trapped in the ice for all of these years. And it could only mean one thing.
That you are continuing to hang lapsha on my ears.
Ну, то есть эти плоты в желудке кита, это, видимо, тоже отсюда. Хотя все равно они там слишком удобно расположены.
Baron Edward von Toll. Of course, I remember reading about this tragic expedition at school. We were taught he had died a hero's death out on the icy wastes, searching for Sanikov land. Yet, what if, in doing so, he had sailed accidentally into the interior, deep below the crust of the world? A fellow citizen of the surface. I had to try and find him.
Такая. Опять шлем, кстати, от подводников с антенной.
A dead explorer stole my bomb.
Not dead, General, but quite insane. Perhaps it was the loss of the arm or the leg, or the long years in isolation. But Toll was clearly mad.
You should have got along perfectly then.
Oh, how I wish we had. But no, General. Whatever Toll's intention with little Orpheus was, I had no time to consider it. I was in mortal peril once more.
Окей, теперь мы хотя бы знаем, против кого боремся. Против безумца с ядерной бомбой. Хм. Почему зеленое свечение? А, полярное сияние.
So, you believe that Tol had somehow enslaved the Menkiv and bent them to his will?
I do, General. It was obvious. Why else would they serve him? And how else could they be so different from their free comrades? These odd helmets they wore, it was the science of our times. No doubt about it. Although fused with some strange crystal technology I could not recognize. To be honest with you, it didn't seem appropriate to stop and ask them.
Куда полярное сияние может быть глубоко под землей? Мне вот это интересно больше.
This Tol, you say he was an explorer?
Yes, General, he was. He vanished some 60 years ago. I remember the story well.
And you say he stole little Orpheus?
To get home, General. To get home. I think he must have thought he could use the atomic bomb to blast his way back to the surface.
Если 60 лет назад, то неплохо выглядит этот Толь.
Brilliant, Ivan Ivanovich! And you expect me to believe that a 100-year-old madman not only survived below the Earth's crust, but enslaved his Menkiv, explored the lost worlds, and discovered the secrets of atomic power, all by himself?
A Tsarist general. An imperialist. No doubt harking back to the terrible days before the Great Revolution. And Estonian.
Estonia?
Estonian, General.
Осуждаю.
They are wily people.
The slave mines stretched away into the distance. And I sometimes wondered if I would ever find my way out. But I never gave up, General.
Of course you do. You are a hero, Ivan Ivanovich.
No, General. No. I am no hero. I am a simple toymaker's son from Tomsk.
Omsk.
General?
Omsk. You said Tomsk.
I said Omsk.
You said Tomsk.
General, I think I am well aware of the city of my birth.
Perhaps all the moving around as a child confused you.
Ой. Главное, чтобы в результате это все не оказалось каким-нибудь сном собаки. Как я должен был увидеть, что он меня палит? Куда-то вверх, а вниз показываю. Внизу. Мне кажется, что не сюда. Мгм. Радиоактивные сани. Точнее, реактивные сани. Точнее, в данном случае и то, и то.
On we flew across the deserted, frozen plateau. I was single-handed in my pursuit, dogged in my determination. I would take back little Orpheus and prevent Toll from detonating the bomb.
Ah, you are as humble as ever, Tavash.
Well, General, you are a great military leader, a great strategist, whereas I am simply the humble son of a watch toy maker, and driven by patriotic fever, with no regard for my own safety, I rushed blindly on.
Ой. Вот именно что блайндли.
Well, General, you are a great military leader, a great strategist, whereas I am simply the humble son of a watch toy maker, and driven by patriotic fever, with no regard for my own safety, I rushed blindly on.
Так. Куда же мы вылетели? Нет, тюлень! Мы еще и в этом шлеме. Это был морж. Ну да. Не знаю, я почему-то всех этих моржей тюленями называл. Сейчас под лед провалимся, да?
Will our courageous yet unfortunate hero drown in the depths of an inhospitable frozen sea? Will he thaw out in time to prevent Toll from detonating the bomb? Will the general holiday in Minsk next year? Or Tomsk? Or perhaps both? What exactly is the difference between a mammoth and a hairy elephant? All of these questions and more should almost certainly be answered in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus!
Как называется, мохнатые слоны из Омска. Под волнами Малепки. Ну окей, я думаю, еще один эпизод, а потом схожу перекурить.
I thought I was doomed. But a miraculous thing happened, General. I could breathe. It must have been the helmet that was jammed onto my head. It was a strange and remarkable thing.
Some might almost say beyond belief.
A narrow-minded fool may indeed, General. But of course, you are no Durak. But even as I sank towards the floor of that lost ocean, my journey was about to take me to darker, stranger territory than ever before. And it happened like this.
Когда в платформерах на законодательном уровне запретят водные уровни? Ладно,
Let me
я
see
в
if I
шлеме
have this
забавно.
correctly. After narrowly failing to apprehend the mad missing explorer Toll and recapture my atomic bomb in your giant snowball, you fell through thin ice and sank to the bottom of a subterranean ocean, discovering along the way that the mind control helmet you had accidentally wedged onto your head enabled you to breathe underwater and resume your pursuit across the seabed.
Ой, кажется, я умер.
General, you seem perplexed.
Perplexed? Perplexed is that the keys to my house are not where I left them. Perplexed is the fact my dog will not eat cheese like other dogs. No, Ivan Ivanovich, I am not perplexed.
Что?
Intrigued, then, perhaps?
I'm not sure intrigued is the correct term either. Enraged at being taken for a simpleton. Now that, perhaps, is a better way of describing my current state of mind.
Морские коньки, тут даже гигантские звезды.
That is unfortunate, General.
Once again, Comrade Privalov, I must correct you. Unfortunate is losing one's car in a snowstorm. Unfortunate is booking opera tickets on your wife's birthday and getting the date wrong.
Oh, was she furious?
That is not the issue! Furious. However, now that is a good word.
I could speak with your wife. Would that help? I could always have a word with her if you like.
I could always have you shot.
Oh, you could, but I suspect she would appreciate the gesture less.
Иван Иванович, видимо, вообще не понимает, с чем связался. Скользить я под водой не могу, что логично. Опять куда-то падаем, господи. Мы и так в центре Земли, куда еще ниже
A
падать?
vast monster of the sea. A giant, humongous, many-armed electrical destroyer of ships and cities.
Electrical?
Electricity flowed along its horrible body, sparking and stunning all it touched, flowing like deadly rivers along its awful tentacles.
Да не ори, нормально все будет.
A sobering discovery. Are you suggesting that the vessel simply wandered off course and sank here? That seems unlikely even by your standards.
No, General, I only wished that were true. The mighty ship showed terrible scars, signs of having been grappled and torn asunder by some huge and terrible adversary.
That is indeed strange and curious. I am troubled by this discovery.
might you almost be perplexed, perhaps?
Don't push your luck.
Так, что я могу это подвигать? Ага. Окей, понял.
I was stationed at Sydney Ostrov some years ago. I am only too aware of how easy it is for the imagination to create monsters when one is exposed to lonely and dark places. My men required constant monitoring.
Much like my cousin Pavel.
He was also stationed at Ostrov?
No, he required constant monitoring. He was a devil for stealing eggs.
Так, о, сокровища. Почему сундук такой настолько больше нас? И скелет. Сокровища каких-то подземных великанов.
I was referring to the fear that something is lurking in the darkness. Something strange, brutish, and ill-intentioned.
А, нет, не та кнопка.
Again, that sounds much like my cousin Pavel.
Ё-моё, надо подстричься уже. О, медузки. Что мы теперь Атлантиду нашли?
I was being hunted. There was no doubt about it. And escape was all I could think about.
Naturally.
That and duty.
Duty?
Yes, General. After all, I had a bomb to recover from that villain Toll.
How clever of you to remember that.
Чудо-юдо рыба-кит.
But first, there was the issue of escape. Escape from a dreadful, grasping creature that consumed all it could reach, dragging anything that wandered within its
Она все же на моем пути. Я думал, она на бэкграунде.
But first, there was the issue of escape. Escape from a dreadful, grasping creature that consumed all it could reach, dragging anything that wandered within its clutches to a miserable doom. A hoarder of useless trophies and stolen goods.
Once again, Tavarish, I suspect you are pursuing a somewhat tortuous metaphor for capitalism, in the misguided hope of appealing to my political ideals.
О, Господи. Орущие рожи каменные.
I was like a mouse, General. A little mouse being toyed with by a terrible cat.
Rather a wet mouse.
I was like a little underwater mouse.
Being stalked by a giant rubbery electrical cat with 8 tentacles.
Exactly, General.
Good, I'm glad we cleared that up. You may continue.
Мне кажется, генерал там просто на каких-то успокоительных, на седативных каких-то сидит и это слушает. Да? Ой. Кажется, нас заметили. Достану? Да, достану. Отлично.
Submarines. You didn't mention submarines before.
Didn't I? Why? No, наверное, General. Of course, submarines. Millions of them. Well, several, at least.
Any particular submarines? Did you see names, numbers?
General, have you lost a submarine?
I am not at liberty to answer that question, as you well know.
Well, General, losing one's car in a snowstorm is unfortunate, as you say. But to lose a whole submarine, that could be considered careless.
Что, будем минами взрывать это существо? Или просто от него убегать.
And you are certain it was M256?
Well, that was painted on the hull, so I can only assume so.
I think I know where this dismal story is going next. You somehow miraculously brought the remaining closed cycle engine online, flooded the torpedo tubes, dispatched the Kraken with one shot, and triumphantly surfaced.
No, General, that is not what happened at all. I did indeed make my way to the torpedo tubes, but for a very different purpose. After all, history has taught us that atomic power is not to be toyed with.
Much like tired, impatient generals, perhaps. Particularly the perplexed ones.
Indeed, General. Or like dogs that will eat no cheese.
Насколько расстрелов уже Иван Иванович накопил? Да, конечно, сними сейчас шлем, ты же все еще под водой. Расстрел на каждый эпизод, ну да. Тогда получается, Иван Иванович у нас котик. Потому что в игре я смотрел 9 эпизодов всего. Блять, я вот так и думал. Морским котиком. Интересно, а сколько жизни у морских котиков?
Will our determined yet disorientated hero end his days as socialist sushi? Will his daring exploits be cut tragically short by vengeful calamari? Will the general's wife ever forgive him for missing and Ludmilla? And just how many eggs did Pavel steal? And where did he keep them? All of these questions.
Ну, самый важный вопрос — это просит ли жена генерала. Наэлектризированный кот и довольно мокрая мышь. Ачивка. Окей. Так, я пойду в туалет и перекурю, а потом продолжим. Вполне возможно, что это короче, добивать будем. Сейчас, секунду. Так, какой геймпад? Вот этот.
I was alive, General. Somehow, miraculously, I was alive. Some twist of fate, some hand of destiny, but I was alive. Strange as this new world was, I knew Toll must have come this way. It was my task to find him. And it happened like this.
Наверное, перед последним эпизодом
The
еще перекурю.
sun beat down on me relentlessly. The heat was
Там последний
unbearable.
эпизод и рулетка будет.
I was exhausted. Yet I could not stop. I had to go on. For 7 weeks I trudged across the desert. On the second day,
Please, comrade, if we may. I think we can skip the details, unless you consider them to be particularly relevant to the location of Little Orpheus.
of course, General, we will simply omit the tale of the singing chasm, the oasis of mirrors, the sightings of Toll's Mienk aloft on their pterodactyls carrying parts of my crashed rocket drill over the horizon to Lemuria.
Wait, the what?
Singing chasm?
Not that bit. The rocket drill.
Oh yes, General, the rocket drill. But what did Toll want with it? And why Lemuria?
Lemuria.
Lemuria, General.
I am not familiar with this Lemuria, comrade.
Well, that is because it does not exist, General. Or at least, so I thought.
Это же этот. Из Анчарта до третьего город. Забыл, как он там называется. Strange crystals seem to exert an extraordinary hold over the stone blocks and arches. When they hummed, the whole city remade itself. Where they were missing, clearly looted by some villainous thief, the city was fallen to ruin. It was like a vast musical instrument, vandalized, and yet still attempting to toot. Тут.
How poetic. I am sure our engineers would be fascinated and baffled in equal measure. If the whole department hadn't been arrested for sedition last week, I would happily convey it to their skeptical ears.
Sedition, General?
Ой.
Really?
How poetic. I am sure our engineers would be fascinated and baffled in equal measure. If the whole department hadn't been arrested for sedition last week, I would happily convey it to their skeptical ears.
Sedition,
понял.
General? Really? That is unfortunate news indeed.
I am joking, comrade.
Не знал, генерал, что вы умеете шутить. Птеродоктиль. Это не то. Вот это. А, это у соседей музыка. Я так думаю, я не слышно, но мне просто слышно. Ага. Понял, принял.
Oh, yes. The Mank for here, all right. Which meant whatever dastardly scheme Toll had, it was to be enacted on these burning sands.
And you will explain this in due course, I imagine.
Imminently, General. What you need to know first is this. I have told you already how parts of the devices the enslaved Mienk were forced to wear came from the surface.
Radio parts and so on, yes, from what you have told me. Assuming there were plenty of lost ships in the ocean as you claim, for Toll to have dredged up what he needed to assemble them.
Aha, good. You are one step ahead of me, General.
I said assuming.
Of course. Assume. Now, as I gazed in awe at the buildings rising and falling around me, I realized that the other major component of those mind-controlling helmets was crystal. Toll had raided Lemuria for them. He knew the city. He knew the crystals could amplify vibrations and waves, and was using them to boost the signal of the radio parts to exert his control over the nymph. Which meant...
Это означало. Он просто сделал такую паузу, будто это.
Imagine, General, what such amplification could achieve when fused to the finest atomic science our great Soviet civilization has produced.
Wait. I do not understand. You said Toll was planning on using the bomb to shatter the Earth's crust to return to the surface.
A tragic mistake, General. They had not recognized the extent of his mad ambitions.
You mean to imply Toll would have attempted to enslave the Russian people? Bah! The will of the Soviet citizen is mighty and strong.
To you, perhaps, as a trained warrior. But consider, perhaps instead, a humble son of a toy maker from Tomsk.
Ah, yes. Perhaps we have our share of simpletons, after all.
С того, что он пригибается за колоннами. Угу. Ну, вот эти чуваки явно как будто из Inside пришли. Товарищ Иван что-то опять ржет.
The vast pictograms told of a history of wonders. They seem to suggest the Lemurians were travelers from another world, where a mysterious clock seemed to stand.
That is very mysterious. As mysterious as the location of little Orpheus, perhaps.
Ah, yes, of course, General. I am just getting to that.
Блин, вот чего ожидает генерал? Услышать. А. То есть надо вернуться, окей, понял.
As I bravely explored that ancient city, a question was gnawing at my mind. What did it mean that the Lemurians had foreseen the coming of Tol? And who was the man from above that was celebrated as the savior of the Menkf? It was almost as if they could read the future in their crystals.
Ну, видимо, спаситель Менков — это мы. Как несложно догадаться.
The bells of Lemuria tolled and tolled, a roaring symphony, a crescendo of peals that set the city dancing, each note causing the crystals to shimmer and cascade with light. But the sandstorm was no natural phenomenon, and the bells did not ring for celebration. Something was very wrong here.
Aside from the pterodactyls and the Menkf and the dancing stones and the ancient magical prophecies and the crystals and now the giant bells, you mean?
If you don't want me to continue, General, then I can easily just quietly go home.
Don't think Chepucha will get you out of this one.
Чепуча, он сказал вместо чепуха. Я встал, молодец. Чё у тебя в итоге? Ковидло или нет? Или просто простыло сильно? Не хочу. А, ну... Понятно. Так, а как? А, я, кажется, понял, как? Там достаточно ковидно или не болеет, так что... Ну, хорошо. Так, видимо, надо вот на этих оставаться. А у нас тут Иван Иванович в центре земли.
I raced through those magical structures, a righteous fire in my heart. I was like Добрыня Никитич, prepared to strike at the dragon who threatened my homeland.
Your heroism is only surpassed by your modesty.
On the contrary, General, I chose Добрыня carefully. Like him, I am a simple peasant. It was fate that chose me to descend to the Earth's core.
It was General Kumanin who chose you to descend to the Earth's core. But don't let that get in the way of your story.
Oh, well then, award General Polkovnik Kumanin the highest medal in the world.
He already has several of those.
I cannot take credit for his wisdom in sending me.
Ну, конечно, у генерала-полковника уже несколько высших наград. Я, кстати, забыл, 62-й год, тогда еще Хрущев же, по-моему, был. Или уже Брежнев. Еще динозавры. Но это да. Но динозавры вот в центре Земли были. Глазки Бобо.
What was once a rocket drill ship, built to burrow into the Earth, was now a mighty vessel, repurposed to blast off into the skies.
Да, Ваня. Напоминает мне эту последнюю локацию Принца Персии, Пески времен. Точнее, Пески времени.
There was no doubt that Toll was headed for the strange world with its clock, although to what end I was yet to understand.
Блин,
But
может,
there
Принца
was no
Персии
time to
добавить
consider.
в серии
No
для
time for
прохождения?
questions.
Совет Рокет.
Toll was on the rocket. Little Orpheus was on
Блять,
the
я
rocket.
правда вот думаю.
Wherever they were headed, I must head there too, to thwart his plans, recover my drill, and save the world.
Просто прикол в чем, что если Принца Персии, то начинать Песков времени не очень интересно. Но как бы первую, вторую часть-то я пройду. Первую я даже проходил, и она мне очень нравится. А вот вторая, ой, точнее не вторая, Принц Персии 3D, вот это пиздец будет. Типа первые два Принца Персии можно пройти вообще за один стрим.
All of these questions and more will be answered if you're extremely lucky in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus.
Так, ну нормально. Внутриземельный космос. А?
Laika!
Are you stark raving mad?
It was Laika! I am sure of it! That spirited little dog saved me!
Laika saved you in her little space machine.
I believe the correct term is capsule, General.
Don't push your luck any further, Ivan Ivanovich. I fear it might snap.
Oh, my apologies, General. In my excitement to explain what I discovered on the far side of the Metagalacticus Interiores, I got carried away. And it happened like this.
A rocky moon. It's the center of the Earth.
The source of all creation, General. A place where time flowed like rivers, and boulders of raw matter rained like comets upon the cratered rock.
Another miraculous escape from death. Another happy accident.
It was no
Пойду
accident,
пока впишу
General.
принц Персии,
Laika
пока не
took me
забыл.
there entirely deliberately. I'm sure of that. She continues to be a heroine and a savior and protector of our great nation.
Правда, для этого сперва надо закончить Зельду. А потом, чтобы принц Персии еще победил в голосовалке.
Laika died in orbit.
No, General, she did not. She's very much alive and happy, and currently living several miles below our feet.
Laika is dead, Ivan.
She most certainly is not, General.
This is the real world,
Ага,
Tovarищ. A
тут
world
тоже.
where you did not go to the center of the Earth, and Laika died in orbit.
In my world, General, Laika is still alive.
A better world, some may argue. Very well. I will live in your world for a while longer, but time is running out.
Ah, yes, time, General. I was just coming to that. There in the distance it stood, enveloped in a mighty
Что?
time storm.
Кремль?
The world clock, General. The beating heart of all history. The axis mundi, the pillar of the world.
Not enough to conquer Russia by drilling back to the surface with his magical mind-controlling atomic radio set then.
No, General. You see, what if he could fuse little Orpheus directly with the world clock? Then his message would radiate with every tick and every talk. He would not simply be the Tsar. He would be the Tsar of all time, the eternal tyrant, the literal incarnation of everything our glorious revolution stood to overthrow.
Что произошло? Оп. Я что, внезапно в часах?
Sunnykiv!
Uncanny, General. But it was somehow different. I felt no cold. The waves were motionless. Indeed, it was as if I had stepped free of those rivers of time and stood on entirely motionless ground. And there in the distance,
What?
debris from Tsarya and tall slave mines had washed up here, almost as if I were meant to find it. And there, amongst it, the winking of steel led me to a blasting cap, and a plan began to form.
Что-то я уже потерял нить этого рассказа. Ну ладно. Нет времени выяснять, убегаем.
The terrain was ferocious. Explosive eruptions of fire and heat. Thunderous emissions and lethal gases.
Much like your cousin Pavel, perhaps, as a result of consuming all of those stolen eggs.
Ah, General, you have been listening after all.
Я думал, генерал скажет что-нибудь типа, что он жалеет о том, что слушал. Ага, тут я тоже не могу скользить из-за гравитации. Хотя непонятно, под водой это понятно, почему я не мог скользить, а тут-то что мешает? Тут же, по идее, только низкая гравитация, а не сопротивление среды очень сильное. Еще раз часы бьют.
Agartha again. But why?
You are stalling, comrade. The clock is ticking.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Of course. In a flash of inspiration, I understood. It was all wrong, you see, General.
That we can agree on.
We should never have gone to the center, because without little Orpheus, Toll could not have become the tyrant he had. The rocket drill was his means to reach the world clock, but it was little Orpheus that enabled him. And the time itself, the world clock itself, was determined to make matters right.
With a little help from you, of course.
Merely a simple pawn in a game played upon a cosmic scale, General. But a pawn who understood that he was being given a second chance to grab a chunk of the explosive resin that wondrous city was built upon.
Ага, то есть детонатор, взрывоопасная смола. То есть мы делаем бомбу, видимо, для того, чтобы взорвать
And I was back. The
этого
mighty river of time roared past me, carrying the weight of the whole of history with it.
маленького
Even for
Орфея.
you, this is a stretch. Our time is almost up. I have to submit my report within the hour.
Time, General. Time was nearly up indeed. That ancient and magical river that carried me along was surely moving inevitably towards some kind of end.
Я надеюсь, Ивана не расстреляют. Это пока главная забота в этой игре. Чтобы Ваня жил. Но учитывая всю какую-то сказочную атмосферу игры, вряд ли Ивана расстреляют.
No more, Privalov. No more stories. No more lost worlds and space dogs. I'm full of it. It is nearly midnight, and you have not given me the adequate explanation for the whereabouts of little Orpheus and the atomic bomb.
But, General, I am about to tell you what happened when I finally caught up with the villain Toll.
I do not care, Tavarish. I simply do not care. You have worn me down, and it is time to call a halt to this. I bear you no malice, comrade. In many ways, I admire you, but time is running out.
Yes, General, yes. Time. Because it was time itself that suddenly appeared to be on my side.
Perhaps the world clock was so impressed with your egg-wearing antics it decided to return you to Plutonia for a second attempt. I would strongly suggest you cut to the chase.
The chase, yes. The pursuit of Toll and little Orpheus. I stood there with the resin fragment in one hand and the blasting cap in the other, and then, just like that, a clock began to ring.
The world clock?
No, General, an alarm clock. My Slava alarm clock, in fact, given to me by Auntie Marsha.
The one who married the beef investigator.
The very same. And the moment I saw that clock, I knew what I had to do.
Ну типа из часов мы таймер сооружаем, типа. Ну типа, господи. Сколько у меня слов паразитов.
Yes, I'm waiting.
A bomb, General. A bomb to destroy a bomb.
So, you decided to build a bomb, eh? A bomb to destroy little Orpheus.
It was a simple plan, really, General.
Yes, you are very fond of your simple plans.
Вот и ракета.
was the last time I was to see those poor enslaved men on my journey. As they scurried in agitation around the base of the rocket drill, now a dreadful weapon of war in the hands of a madman, I was reminded of my mother.
Your mother looked like a nymph? That is extremely disrespectful, comrade.
No, I meant I was raised by my mother from an early age, of course. My childhood memories of my father were all too brief.
You are rambling, comrade Privalov. Time is running out. Diani Rezinovi.
Блин, так день не резиновый сказал с этим акцентом.
Time will run out for us all, General, will it not? And it ran out for my father on the shores of Volga.
Your father fought at Stalingrad?
He did, General.
So did I.
Well, so you see, General. Perhaps we are just the same, you and I. Perhaps we are all just Menkf in the end.
Что-то эту мысль я упустил. В ките-то что, или это не кит?
What possible use in the construction of a bomb could be found in the belly of a giant
да.
whale? Were you perhaps planning on using a worm as a fuse?
That would be ridiculous, General.
I would hate to undermine your otherwise entirely plausible account.
You forget, General. The belly of the beast was full of shipwrecks. And on one of them, I was bound to find what I was looking for. Fuse wire.
Comrade, yes, you'd forgotten all about the fuse until I reminded you, hadn't you?
General, your cynicism is unbecoming to a man of your rank and stature.
Окей, все, всю бомбу собрали.
The clock was now ticking, General. Literally. I was surrounded by time, immersed in it, floating along a river of it on a raft made of history, seeking the next moment of opportunity to hurtle backwards amongst those lost worlds.
I am a patient man, Tavarish. I lost 3 toes in the winter outside Sharkovskaya in 42. A drunken dentist removed 2 frostbitten toes and 1 perfectly healthy one. You may therefore consider me a man blessed with an uncommon level of endurance for discomfort.
I hate visiting the dentist. My uncle Vanya was a dentist, and he was a deeply strange man, notwithstanding the love he felt for his pigs.
Is what?
Проебался.
The clock was now ticking, General. Literally. I was surrounded by time, immersed in it, floating along a river of it on a raft made of history, seeking the next moment of opportunity to hurtle backwards amongst those lost worlds.
I am a patient man, Tavarish. I lost 3 toes in the winter outside Sharkovskaya in 42. A drunken dentist removed 2 frostbitten toes and 1 perfectly healthy one. You may therefore consider me a man blessed with an uncommon level of endurance for discomfort.
I hate visiting the dentist. My uncle Vanya was a dentist, and he was a deeply strange man, notwithstanding the love he felt for his pigs.
Is what?
He was a pig dentist, General. He always claimed that the human mouth presented an insufficient challenge.
Let me challenge you, comrade. You will tell me what happened to little Orpheus. My patience is exhausted. I am done.
But we are nearly there, General. The world clock was shortly to strike again and transport me...
Да.
Well, who could guess where?
Ба-ба-ба-ба-ба-ба. Все. Все нормально. Все живы, все здоровы. Что происходит? А, понял. видимо, из-за задержки в начале. Хотя вроде не так все плохо. Ну да. Так мы добрались до Кремля.
And so to the ocean floor, and that strange submerged city, and those poor lost vessels. To find a shell case to hold all of my scavenged ingredients, the last piece I needed to construct my bomb.
Ah, yes, I have been waiting for this.
General?
Time, Ivan Ivanovich. Whilst you have rambled on and on about it, I have simply bided mine. I am a patient man, as I have said.
Yes, I don't feel I paid enough attention to the story about your toes. Do you have specially made shoes?
Enough!
А, у него на ноге пальцы.
Now I have your full attention. Indulge me, Tavarish. Explain to me how you made this bomb.
General?
Your bomb, comrade, that you so brilliantly constructed to destroy little Orpheus. Tell me how you made it.
Well,
In detail. The type of detail that should present no problem to a man who is actually capable of building a bomb, which I suspect would be an entirely different man to one who cheated on his entrance exams for the cosmonaut program.
Что-то как-то сюжет меня немного потерял на всем этом эпизоде.
You are uncharacteristically silent, comrade. Cat got your tongue?
if I may, General, perhaps just a minute or two to gather my thoughts?
There are precious few minutes left. We have reached our conclusion, I think.
Что происходит? Ну вот,
Yes.
ну вот есть
Yes, I
такое.
have, General. I gazed up at the world clock and knew I had arrived at my destination. Whatever lay inside would see my journey end one way or another. But I had no idea of the marvels that awaited me. And
The bomb, Ivan Ivanovich! Tell me how you built the bomb!
it was a wonderful sight. The world...
It is 2 minutes to midnight, Ivan. It is time to end this story.
О, уже оружие достал. Столб мира. И там есть еще какой-то 9-й эпизод.
Let us recap. 3 years ago, you were sent to the center of the Earth as part of a top-secret mission to ensure the delivery of little Orpheus, an atomic-powered capsule. You promptly vanished until you casually wandered up to Molodiyozhnaya station 3 years later, claiming to have saved the world but lost little Orpheus in the process. Is this correct?
Yes, General, it is, but...
You are charged with many crimes against the state, including desertion, lying to a superior officer, and sedition. Any one of these charges bears the punishment of execution by firing squad.
General, you must be reasonable. I did my best. It's all true, I swear. I swear upon the lives of my family.
Oh, do you? Auntie Marcia and Uncle Vanya, the traveling tinker and the pig dentist, or perhaps Cousin Pavel, the criminal mastermind with the unhealthy taste for eggs. How stupid do you think I am, Comrade Devalov?
Sudayu, it is all true.
Maybe your toy maker, or was it watchmaker, Faza, who apparently taught you all he knew, despite being killed when you were less than 5 years old.
I was a fast learner?
You have precisely 1 minute to convince me not to summon the guards, and have you shot on the spot.
A minute? a lifetime. It's all I need, General.
Угу. Но не совсем понятно, как же убедить генерала-то.
I was astounded. My father, I told you, I think I told you, he was a toy maker, and he often played with clockwork parts.
Товарищ.
But this made all those childhood wonders pale into insignificance. And it was fortunate indeed that my uncle...
Vanya, the pig dentist?
No, my other uncle, Sasha, had taken me mountaineering in the Urals during my childhood, for it was only by scaling these giant mechanical parts that I would reach Little Orpheus.
Yes, I had been thinking that it seems awfully convenient that you were such an accomplished climber. I don't, however, recall any mention of this Uncle Sasha in your file.
He was a very private man.
A very unlikely man.
That was Uncle Sasha's blessing and his curse.
То есть все же сон собаки, все. Непонятно. Ну, типа, что-то наш главный герой до хрена чего соврал. Выглядит так, что... Что-то, мне кажется, минута-то уже прошла. С момента, как должны были вызвать охрану. Что? Не понял. Эта игра глюканула или что? Здорово, Ваня. Скажи, никак тут не пробегу. А? Что меня тут воскресили? Чё, блять, началось, видимо?
Those great wheels and cogs clashed
Чё?
and boomed.
Чё происходит, блять? Чё происходит? Что? Мне кажется, или игра ебанулась? А я могу как-то... Ну, типа, с контрольной точки... Так, а если нажму выход... Так, игра просто закроется, окей. Что за дичь?
Those great wheels and
Так,
cogs
окей.
clashed and boomed. The vast hands of all time crunching forever and ever around.
Ivan Ivanovich.
Pendulums and springs and great big wheels and tiny little wheels.
Товарищ Привалов, stop!
Though at least the Myank were not here, especially as they seemed to infest the world below the surface. Myank everywhere. Myank. Many Myank. Myank plenty.
Я уже думал,
Comrade, enough.
я уже думал, эта игра со мной это... Как называется? Играется с моим мозгом. Но походу нет. Походу ее просто глюкануло. Потому что отчаяние с Рум я бы это не удивился. такому повороту. Ой.
But where was Toll? Aha! High above, on the clock face, perhaps, with his radios and his crystal. But where was Toll? Aha! High above, on the clock face, perhaps, with his radios and his crystals. Now, if I could just reach him, I could use the bomb.
There is no bomb. You have no idea how to make a bomb. You have no idea about how to do anything one might actually expect of a cosmonaut.
The bomb?
Ivan Ivanovich!
General?
Time is up.
Не очень понятно, как из-за всего этого выкрутиться-то он.
Stop talking, Tavarish. You don't know what happens next. It is obvious. You've done very well. I applaud you for your efforts and your story. It is a wonderful tale, Comrade Privalov. I have enjoyed it immensely. But every story needs an ending. And it is clear yours does not have one.
I just need more time.
I think that even if I gave you all the time in the world, it would not be enough.
No, General. I can do this. That is, I remember what happens next. I just need to catch my breath and compose myself.
We both know how this story ends, comrade.
But little Orpheus, you haven't heard what happened.
We will find out soon enough. You will be executed, and another expedition will be sent.
No, you cannot. You cannot. We must never go back. You don't understand.
Make me, then. Make me understand. I am a kind man, although you may not believe this. I do not want to have you shot. So help me. Make me understand.
Теперь он отыгрывает
Tell me
хорошего
what
копа.
happened to little Orpheus.
It was.
Ivan Ivanovich?
It was.
То есть все же пиздёшь вся
was-
история.
No. I'm sorry, General. I'm sorry, I have no idea. You are right. I simply cannot think what happened next. It's just a blank, General. There's nothing there. I am very tired, you see.
Comrade Privalov. Ivan.
You're right. It's over, General. Perhaps you would be so kind as to write to my mother for me.
Of course I will.
You are a kind man, as you have said. And, General,
Yes, Ivan.
was it a good story?
Oh, yes. It was an excellent story.
Thank you, General.
То есть все же это пиздёж.
I'm just sorry I couldn't give you an ending.
Unless...
General?
Quiet, Tovarish, I am thinking. Unless... I seem to remember that there were many problems with little Orpheus during production.
General?
Problems with the casing around the atomic battery. Concerns.
Concerns, General?
Yes, concerns. Unlikely though that might be.
Yeah, it seems if I remember that it failed to secure properly. A sharp blow could spring the hatch and expose the fragile casing of the bomb to any would-be vandal.
I'm not sure I follow.
A resourceful yet forgetful hero might, one would think, take advantage of that fact.
But how, General? Where would I find something to strike it with?
The son of a watchmaker would easily find something within a giant clock mechanism that resembled a hammer, surely.
A hammer? Why, yes, General. I do remember now. I grasped the hammer-shaped thingamabob.
Let's just agree it was a hammer, Ivan.
Yes, of course. Let's do that. I recovered my senses, shook my head, and looked about me. In my distracted stupor, I had climbed further up the tower than I ever thought possible. In front of me was the clock face, and I gazed out through it at the sheer expanse of history. And I knew whatever happened next... happened next?
The hand of destiny had fallen upon your shoulder.
Yes! It had. And what an extraordinary hand it was.
Господи. Да, теперь он еще и лазерами в год будет стрелять, конечно. Интересная история, жаль, что пиздешь. Ой, с самого начала, да? Ну слушай, мы же слушаем пиздеж, так что... нормально. Так что у него нет возможности стрелять лазерами наперед.
And so, Thor was defeated.
Так, ну есть же еще один эпизод.
Destroyed, the bomb lost forever.
Not just that, General. In that moment, time sprung back to its proper shape, and I found myself once more in Plutonia, the start of my journey. But the wound in the interior sky was gone. The drill was gone. It was as if I had never been here. And they were nymph, free and happy, without the tyranny of toll, free to pursue their simple lives.
But we can never go back?
Never, General. One drill, one metal sphere, one lone cosmonaut was nearly enough to destroy time and unleash the tyrant toll upon our world. Who would think an innocuous beeping radio housed in a ball of metal could change the world so dramatically?
Who indeed? But tell me, what of you? And what of your return to the surface?
I stayed amongst the Mienf for as long as I could. But I came to realize they had begun to worship me as a king. No, General. I am a good socialist and could not allow this workers' paradise to become corrupted. And so I left that wonderful land for the last time.
And then?
And then I walked. For 2 years I wandered, always looking for a way home, through lands and worlds almost beyond imagination. Until one day, I emerged, blinking into sunlight, and realized I was home.
Until one day I emerged, just like that? You just found your way back to the surface?
Well, General, it was a little more complicated than that. There were great obstacles to overcome.
Мне интересно,
and
она вообще
terrible
скажет в конце
challenges
игры,
to
что было на
face,
самом
and
деле?
incredible lands to
Enough,
explore.
Ivan. Little Orpheus is lost forever. The interior is sealed. You have returned with a story of socialism, triumphing over incredible odds. It is, as I said, enough for one night. Enough for my report, at least.
General, if I may...
Comrade Ivan Ivanovich Privalov, you are found guilty of all charges brought against you and sentenced to execution by firing squad. However, having listened to your story, I believe you are quite mad. In other words, I find your madness guilty, not you. And we cannot execute madness. And indeed, there are lessons to be learned, even in the depths of this madness.
Что-то слишком
Perhaps
добрый
the Americans
генерал.
were right to send a chimp after all.
So, General?
Get out of my sight, Ivan. Go home. Enjoy a state pension as a madman. Just make sure I never see you again.
Yes, General. Of course, General. Anything you say. I shall be small and quiet and live a life without excitement and...
Out! Until one day I just emerged. Oh, very good, товарищ. Very good indeed.
Ну там же есть еще эпизод. Или этот эпизод типа открывается только если я соберу все эти. Это вон есть. 9-й эпизод порция лука. Так. Я схожу покурить. Потом пройдем последний эпизод и будем крутить. Не знаю, очень странное окончание сюжета, на мой взгляд. А, это вообще эпилог, как будто бы.
Who's the best space dog? Oh, где моя хорошенькая моя. Ты просто космическая. Hey, who's the best hairy cosmonaut? It is indeed a lovely sunset, and it reminds me of the skies of Peru. I didn't? I never told you about the wonderful Sky City? Well, it was an extraordinary place, but one filled with dangers. Well, it might have been simple for you to cross it, but you were in a space capsule. I had to rely on my own 2 feet, my noshki. Feet which, I might add, had just crossed the interior, beaten the villain Toll, and helped inspire the Yank to a workers' revolution. Oh, that's all very easy for you to say, but your idea of civilized behavior is licking your own bottom in public. No. My adventures above the clouds were filled with untold dangers, death-defying escapes, and some really quite extraordinarily large bielorybitsa. And it happened like
Ладно,
this.
эпилог уж так уж и быть пройдем.
Weeks had passed since I left Plutonia, and one evening, exhausted, I simply
Ну,
fell
не знаю,
asleep at the foot of a
Чайни с Рум
strange
могли бы
windmill. And when I
поинтереснее
woke,
что-нибудь сделать с сюжетом.
well, that
Странно
thought
как-то.
didn't cross my mind.
А,
I was
да.
exhausted after all.
Я забыл, что
This is
только с
besides the
тиком.
point, my nosy canine friend. What matters is this. When I awoke, the windmill and the ground around it had been carried high into the air. What magic was this? Что за магия? As unlikely, perhaps, as a suitcase-sized dog orbiting the center of the Earth for many years. Quite.
Не знаю, у меня какие-то смешанные впечатления от этой игры. Ну, типа, прикольно, весело, увлекательно и достаточно ярко. Но с точки зрения сюжета, то, что это все сон собаки, как-то... Ой, извиняюсь. Но это, в принципе, похоже на мой ответ.
Now you're just being silly. May I continue my recounting of how I sailed over the sky gardens towards the mystical city of Peru? Oh, I must, my мой ушатый друг. I must.
Окей, то есть он прилетел в Bioshock Infinite. Не знаю, просто... Было бы прикольно, если бы это все равно была просто простая сказка про... Ну, не знаю, про астронавтов в приключениях в центре Земли. А тут как-то за счет того, что это... Безумие, вот эти вот безумные рассказы, как-то, не знаю, смешанное очень впечатление. Не знаю, на мой взгляд, был бы достаточно, господи, достаточно простой именно вот сказочная атмосфера невероятного такого приключения.
But whereas his rearward zephyrs could curdle milk and tarnish the teaspoons, these magical wafts only serve to carry me aloft and onwards.
Ну и типа не совсем понятно, а что вообще произошло на самом деле. С этим, с подземным кораблем. Ага. Все, просто вращается, мне надо в нужный момент отпустить, видимо.
But something was afoot in the gardens of Perun. This horrid muck staining the surfaces and making my nose curl. Yes, it was positively pavilion in scent. But it did not belong here. I think I once told you of Auntie Masha's passionate encounter in a cable car with the manganese entrepreneur from Chatura. Now, Auntie Masha told me that there was a disagreeable stain and smell all around those factories and smelting works. Our industry is not without its dangers. Could it be that the once bucolic gardens of Perun were being corrupted by unchecked pollution? After all, science is a double-edged sword, my bristly confidant. Consider Zemichov. Of course. I apologize. Прошу прощения. Two-headed dogs is perhaps a rather insensitive analogy, but not without justification in this instance. I have seen the blemished lands around Norilsk, but I could not believe that I would find such pollution here. But this was nothing to the true horror of what was shortly to unfold.
Пока это какой-то, не знаю, по итогу это какой-то зеленый слоник, блин. Типа, одна история охуительнее другой. Опустить на доки. Это шо нахуй такое?
That terrible, страшная машина, spewing its poison into the air, had created a monstrous thing. A being. A malignant spoiler of the noble and pure. And it had taken on the form of its prey. Well, of course. Ну, конечно, I was the prey.
Если честно, мне уже как-то не хочется эпилог проходить, зная, что все это сон собаки. Ну чё думаете, рулетку будем крутить?
Sorry, I do apologize. To follow my every footstep. But no time to ponder, no time to bemoan the hand that fate had dealt me. No. All that was on my mind was escape, конечно.
Не, они частично на русском говорят. Ну, типа, они же совет граждане. Поэтому и говорят частично на русском.
Yes, it was most interesting. The windmill seemed to be from an earlier age. Perhaps this was a devastating warning of the destructive power of unfettered industrialization. I most certainly had not forgotten about the windmills. I did not get carried away. You are missing the point. Perhaps because you are only a small dog. Oh, a brilliant, brave, spacefaring dog, of course, but a small Sabashka nonetheless. If you perhaps listened more and interrupted less, I am just getting to the explanation of the windmills.
Ну, конечно.
My stinky nemesis was back. But more interesting was the change in the city.
А чё мне тогда делать?
My stinky nemesis was back. But more interesting was the change in the city. The windmills were fading out, clearly obsoleted, mothballed, relics. Instead, a sense of an obsession with power was apparent.
Это уже какой-то этот
Vast
Дахака из
engines,
схватки
terrible
с судьбой.
machines, ever hungry and reliant on the rapid
Только вместо
consumption of fuel,
воды
the
воздух.
production of toxic fumes and choking gases. Pride, my pushisti compadre. Pride, ambitia, ambition. The dark side of science. Zemechov's had too many. Don't be ridiculous, dog. Only a Durak with the intellectual capacity of a ringworm would think windmills are in any way harmful.
Корзина была. Не знаю, не люблю просто сюжеты, когда все в итоге оказывается сном собаки. Типа поиграть с реальностью происходящего и так далее, это еще интересно. Но вот просто сон собаки. Да. Чё он не спрыгнул? Да крути.
Of course, you never had much of a chance to travel. Sarcasm doesn't suit you. You don't have the tail for it. You do, at least, have a tail. Mind you, family gossip maintained that so did Uncle Rabliem. Although it was apparently little more than a stub, and a source of considerable discomfort and social anxiety for him. The question of whether or not Uncle Rabliem wagged his stub is very much off topic. What I am trying to say is that your upbringing on the streets of Moscow meant you never saw the blackened fields of Magnitogorsk. The sacrifices made by the valiant citizens of that industrial heartland, as they drowned in their own blight, even as they powered the state forwards.
No. Нет.
I was reminded of Magnitogorsk as I wandered through those fields of pipes and foundries. And I wept for the loss of innocence that so often goes hand in hand with progress.
Хоть не знаю, это уже какой-то частично наркоманский трип скорее. Сейчас, секунду. Да, блядь, беги, Иван. Ну и просто из-за того, что это сон собаки, то как-то это очень много вопросов появляется по эксперименту в целом. Типа, почему вы послали идиота к центру Земли, когда это наверняка же важная штука.
Indeed. I just evaded the slimy, oily grasp of that man-made Vadzinoi, his petroleum stink clogging my nostrils and making my head thump. And I felt a great stirring within me. Yes, much like I assume Cousin Pavel. May he never get loose again. But no, quite different. This was no volcanic upbubbling of gastric malintent. No, it was the roaring fires of justice once more ignited within me. I felt a swell of patriotic fervor and knew the hand of destiny had fallen on me once more. Yes, what a hand it was! I could not see this great wonder sink into an abyss of poison and bile. The Perunians may have been forced to abandon their city, but I had saved the world once before and was ready to answer the call again.
Честно, да прохожу уже тупо потому, что осталось, ну, где-то минут 15-20.
What strange metal Bielaribitsa clearly designed to swim through the air. I was amazed. And there was more. Beneath the fins, I spotted the apertures of hoses and was reminded of the time Auntie Agrafina devised a contraption to water all of her copious algae beds simultaneously with one flush of the toilet by a system of pipes and valves that ran throughout her house. Можно так сказать, in a manner of speaking, yes. Her algae were most irrigated, although her neighbor Victor
И что в данном случае каппа означает?
And was bruised quite severely about the face and body. But these were no ordinary flying metal fish. They were designed to expel air, fresh air, and push back the polluted clouds.
Литленик Марис 2. А что, если отдавать армянские долги так? Пыхчамп.
А почему... Блин, а у меня этот... Сейчас, погоди, а у меня, оказывается, в этом ВБСе было слышно, но не было видно. Поэтому я даже сумму не вижу. Секунду. Неплохо так-то. Ну да. Покчамп. Спасибо.
There is, of course, a fine tradition of looking to nature to solve problems of a scientific or military persuasion.
Ладно, погоди, надо повторить сообщение, чтобы это осталось для истории. А как? А как это? Вот так? Да.
Литленик Марис 2. А что, если отдавать армянские долги так? Пыхчамп.
Ну, это старая гифка.
Yes, as you well know. My nephew Sergei... Yes, the very same. Poor lad with his dermatological eruptions. Well, Sergei was stationed recently at Kazachya Buchta, where dolphins... dolphins We're being trained as brilliant aquatic agents of socialism. Why not then be inspired by marine life? Why, there is a fish, I have heard, that can shoot jets of water from beneath the surface to knock its prey off little tiny twigs and into its mouth. If you were to tell the average mushroom sheriff that a dog would orbit the Earth, I suspect you would receive a similarly sneering response.
Мне кажется, в данном случае тогда рулетка вообще бесполезна.
I, on the other hand, am a cosmonaut, the product of many months of training, and I realized the answer to pollution.
Хотя будет забавно в такой ситуации покрутить.
The Peronians, tragically, had simply never had time to finish their
Первым.
training.
Вот да.
Only I could
Просто ради интереса покрутим.
flying fish.
Хотя мне кажется, тут все очевидно.
If only. Yes, if only. It made perfect sense, of course. The poisonous Tuhata that engulfed Perun was like a nasty cold. And you know what to do with a cold to rid yourself of it. You may not get colds, but nor can you operate pea-shelling machinery. So don't get ideas above your station. We humans, on the other hand, may produce up to 16 million perfectly unshelled peas in an average shift. But we are martyrs to our sinuses. But to clear them, aha! These are remedies we Russians have been perfecting over the long centuries of harsh winters. Onions. A quick snifter of onion oil will clear your head faster than a Pragviev can clear a hypothetical minefield. Yes, if I could find a functional fish, I would become that onion.
Я уже, если честно, даже диалоги не слушаю. Не, ну рулетку мы покрутим из интереса, но это будет забавно, если... если не выпадет. Ну вот да. То есть самый банальный вариант просто все по одному разу покрутить. Я это, блядь, даже загадкой не назову. Не знаю, мне что-то обидно за игру. Ну, типа с таким визуалом и какой-то вот атмосферой сводить все в сон собаки, это, на мой взгляд, очень неправильно. Опять.
I was close. I could feel it. Yes, yes, the working fish, the ribka. I could feel I was at the heart of Perun, and my noxious pursuer had renewed its chase with a terrible vigor.
Интересно теперь даже почитать отзывы на игру. Или по игре, как правильно. Наверное, по игре правильно будет. Потому что это... Многие или про игру говорят, что это такая же дичь в плане сюжета или нет. Или люди поиграли первые 5 уровней и это и написали рецензии. Потому что вначале все хорошо.
Not far now. I just had to keep going, keep pushing. It's almost as if you knew, Pavel. Uncanny. How about it? There she was. A beautiful sight. Her scales shimmering in the sunlight. Her fins poised for
Да,
action.
и ее
Her
вид
onion
жрал мои
cannons primed for
FPS.
a great aerial conflict unseen in the annals of human endeavor. And you are just jealous it was a bigger flying machine than yours. No, my bilious pal. It was time for science to fight back. Yes, my hairy compatriot. Поехали! Onwards to
Поехали.
victory!
Что у нас теперь скролл-шутер? Ну да, я могу отстреливаться. Ау. Ау, кажется, я умер. Еще FPS куда-то сжираются. Кстати, эта рыба нихуя неудобно управляется. Типа я жму вправо, а она почему-то летит вправо-вниз. Ага, и тут еще невидимая стена. Блять, реально скролл-шутер. Только очень фиговый, на мой взгляд. Спасибо за фейпасы. 6 кадров. Да, блять. Что, мне с самого начала, что ли, начинать? Нахуенно. Ладно, еще одна попытка. Если не прорвусь, то идет она нахуй. да, конечно. Управление еще кривое. Че, третье повторение, да? Правило 3. Видимо, все.
А
куда субтитры делись?
The strange interior sunlight gleaming on the sides of my fishy vessel. I heard birds clear their little throats and begin their wondrous
Субтитры еще куда-то пропали.
wind gently humming on the fins. And then, all of a sudden, under it all, well, you see, in my hurry, it didn't even occur to me to check how much fuel was carried in the strange craft. With a horrible splutter, the engines choked and died.
Ну, короче, он говорит, что типа за всеми действиями я не обратил внимания, сколько топлива осталось в этой машине.
I did not.
Ау.
A simple mistake that many have made. Why, my Aunt Agrafina met her untimely demise being late for a fungal sculpting seminar and making exactly the same error.
А, типа, расстреляли меня, внучок.
Unfortunately, it left her stranded in sub-zero temperatures just outside Pravakhetsinsk. She wasn't found until 18 years after her own funeral, but was perfectly preserved. Remarkable, really. It is beside the point, yes. So, there I was. My fabulous ship had become a terrible prison. I was hurtling to my almost certain death. My triumph turned to tragedy. But then... Well, you know what happened next. Even so, moi magnati drug, that is a story for another time. A most extraordinary story, of course, filled with dangers and wonders, and canals, and invasions, and strange doorways to other worlds. But perhaps too long a story for now.
На сиквел
Yes,
намекают.
indeed, my canine
Не знаю, чей не стром. Лучше займитесь тем, что вы умеете больше всего.
Agrafina's famous borscht. Coming?
Ай. Ну, короче, хуй знает. Как отсюда выйти? Как в главное меню-то выйти? А, игра даже не хочет выходить в главное меню. Ладно, просто Alt F4 выйти в главное меню, я понял. Ай, чё у нас там тогда? Ой, не то. Как выбраться из игры, вот да. Просто реально это так выглядело. Так, нам нужна музычка. Нам нужен поинтовый аукцион. Так, нет. Поле чудес. Вот, 2-часовая версия барабана. Наш любимый поинтовый аукцион. Сейчас я введу туда все. Потом сделаю по-нормальному. Мне просто даже теперь интересно, как будет выглядеть это. Таблица. Так, Little Nightmares 2 мы пишем 200. Потому что 100 рублей это наша стандартная. Так, готово. Теперь открываем колесо. Сейчас. Да. Но это если на этот... Как называется? Вот, на выбывание вот так вот будет. Так. Окей, выбывание. Пусть будет 10 секунд. Поехали. Будем выбывать. Имморалити уходит первым. Тоник вышел. Просто какой шанс, что будет не Little Nightmares? Вот интересно. Ладно. Сигналис хотя бы остался. Минус бумаги. Блин, почти. Но нет, Кентукки убрали. Ну, было близко. И опять было близко. Все же будет забавно, если Little Nightmares не выиграет. Ну, типа, шанс есть. Нет, перейдет. Блин, мне грустно, что Сигналис остался, который я давно хочу постримить, но он вряд ли выпадет. Или... Окей, крутим 20 секунд на финале. Нет, не доберется до кошмариков. Окей. Ну, кошмарики в нечестной борьбе Little Nightmares 2 победил. Окей. Да. Ой, ладно, чё. Увидимся на следующей неделе. Хороших выходных. Пока-пока.